Hello, everybody. Welcome to another exciting episode of Jimmy's Jambox. We're here. We're back at it again, and we're going to get on into it. But before we do, as always, please make sure to like, subscribe, push all the buttons, do all the things. You know, I don't know where they are, but you do, and I trust you. With that being said, here's a quick word from our sponsor. Breakfast Buzz, a bright and full-bodied breakfast tea, an assertive blend of black tea originating in Assam, Ceylon, and Kenya. Breakfast Buzz is bold with a malted, smoky taste, and just a touch of peat is guaranteed to get your day started right. The Brothers Apothecary. Fine teas and remedies. All right, y'all. Thank y'all so much for watching. Again, shout out The Brothers Apothecary. Make sure to click the link below. Go check them out. Guarantee you're going to like something. But with that being said, let's go ahead and get on into it. Here is today's guest.
What's going on? It's BARZ.
Hello. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hell yeah, man.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about, where you're from, what you do, give us that Tinder profile of your involvement with music.
Well, my name is BARZ. I've been rapping for about 20 years, off and on, and, trying to take it serious. And I come from Tacoma, Washington.
Hell yeah.
And, I do rap music, and I love it, and I have a lot of fun doing it.
Hell yeah. Well, you definitely do it well.
Appreciate it, sir.
What were some of your early moments with music? How did you first get into it?
With music, I actually, my dad used to have a pretty nice size record collection, and it was all like a bunch of 70s funk and stuff like that. And he had a little, record player, and I always watched rap videos on MTV, so I would want to be the DJ, and I would take his records, and I probably destroyed a good amount of them.
No.
But that's how I first started really getting into the function of doing music and just being involved with trying to be involved with the process. And then later on I started making my own little mixtapes on cassette, and mixing songs and beats and acapellas together, and just kind of really just getting into the more of the production side of it. And then eventually I started to rap as well, and do a lot of my own production and whatnot. So yeah, just
oh yeah. And
kept going.
Do you even now? Do you still do a lot of your own production and such?
Yes, I do. I produce probably about 80% of my songs.
Oh, nice. Oh yeah.
Or if I don't play the instrument itself, I'll hire somebody to play what I'm thinking in my mind.
Yeah. So it's even still a real instrument in that respect, which is really cool.
Definitely.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely.
Well, we'll definitely get into that more in the middle of the interview.
Yeah.
I want to ask a couple of foundation questions.
Oh yeah.
And this first one, it's one that we ask early. It's one we ask often, and it's definitely a crowd favorite. What was the first album you ever bought with your own money?
Ooh, man. Coolio, Gangster's Paradise.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
out the gate swinging with a strong one.
Oh, dude, yeah, man. I mean, that was actually, that album was the very first time that I heard E40 too, and E40 is top 5.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah, I love that. And then what was the first live show that you ever went to? That was one you wanted to go to.
That I wanted to, or just live show in general?
That you wanted to. That moment where you're like, oh, this is happening, and you went and saw it.
Yeah, well, I would say I'd have to split it between two. I went to Import Car Show a long time ago, and Jurassic 5 happened to be performing.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, and that being my very first show, just of seeing anybody doing music live, it was insane. Their DJ was incredible.
Yeah,
I met Charlie Tuna. Was
I love
awesome.
Charlie Tuna.
Oh, dude, it was just incredible to meet him. But
Side note, his album with Crafty Cuts.
Oh, okay.
So good. I had to shamelessly plug that in this moment right now, or I'd forget it for later.
I gotta check that out.
Phenomenal. One of the coolest albums I've heard in a minute.
Hell yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you. Please.
No, you totally good. And then the first, I guess, actual concert I wanted to go to, we actually snuck in, and it was Busta Rhymes at the Puyallup Fair.
Okay.
And that definitely top 3 performance I've seen my entire life.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. You're really just coming out the gate swinging with these quality answers.
Oh, yeah, dude. Yeah. Busta Rhymes, and me and my girlfriend, Jasmine, we saw Busta Rhymes recently in Ridgefield.
Oh, shit. Okay.
And he still got it, man.
Oh, yeah.
He still got it.
I don't think he ever won't. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, that's
for sure.
Just, it's something in his delivery. It's like something in the difference between like how he says words and how his voice just works. That is just, it's always going to work. But that's such an experience. And it's cool that you kind of got to see the window of time.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. All right. And then to round out the foundation part of this, do you have a defining moment that like you knew music was the thing you wanted to do?
I was in high school, and at the time I would like battle rap people in the lunchroom and stuff like that. It was kind of like popular, and basically the ASB people at the time, they wanted to do a senior song for, like the seniors leaving, and nobody really knew what I was doing, but then somebody found out that I rapped, so they asked me to do the senior song, and I wrote it, and I performed it at our senior assembly, and I just remember blacking out, and just kind of like all I could hear was just people cheering and screaming,
Oh, yeah.
So I just kind of like that moment for me was just like, I was supposed to do this, and I've been doing it since.
Damn. That's a really powerful moment.
Yeah, definitely.
Especially in front of that like large a body of people.
I did not, I thought before I would go out and do it, I thought that, like, I'm going to fuck up, something's going to happen, but something in me just like, it's just like, it was nothing, and people, I actually, at the end of one of my videos for a song called TSA, I actually put the footage from that happening.
Oh, yeah.
Which is super old, but I had a friend from high school I reached out to, and he told me that he filmed it, so we got a hold of it and put it on there.
Hell yeah. I'll definitely check that out.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, that's something I'm going to bring up a little bit later about your music when I was listening to it earlier, is the random occurrence of multiple references and things.
Definitely.
All the time. So
I love it, man.
Stew on that one a little bit, because I definitely want to follow up on it.
Fuck yeah, I'm ready. Let's go.
Hell yeah. But we're going to start at the beginning, and we're going to get to know you in the now. And we're going to get the easy one out of the way. How'd you pick the name?
The first half of my last name is Bar, and at the time when I started rapping... I
actually did know that, because you said it in a song, and I was like, I wonder what the other half is.
Yeah, my last name is Barlow.
Oh, okay.
I don't set the bar low, though. But, just at the time, battle rap was just really big, 8 Mile was big, and I don't know, at the time... my original name was J BARZ, but I actually couldn't use the name because Soulja Boy had signed somebody to his record label called J BARZ, and they trademarked the name. So I had to shorten it and change it up a little bit and just put my own little flair on it, and so I, one syllable. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very easy name to remember.
Oh, yeah.
For sure. And in your highlight reel, which for those of you on Instagram, you definitely got to see it. Oh, wait, we put them on YouTube now. You're welcome, YouTube. You have a way that you deliver it that felt like it didn't feel like rehearsed, like, oh, you've said it a million times, of course you're going to. It felt like a really comfortable statement. And I think this is just a bit that I do where I break down people's names. And that's definitely, it just settled right on the first time hearing it. I was like, oh, that's comfortable. So it's definitely got a good feel to it all around.
Hell yeah, appreciate it.
Yeah. But now let's go ahead and let's talk about your writing process. And I'm going to start right at the beginning. When you get inspired to make music, so you're ready to create, what are some of the things you do in the beginning every time?
It's always random. Like, I get ideas all day long, I'm just like, I'll get like inspired just by life, or, sometimes like I would write, like when I was younger, I would write, with the TV in the background. I never really watched it, but I always needed background noise, just going on. And, I'd hear something really quick and I'd be like, let me see if I can come up with like a metaphor to that or something, but a lot of the stuff recently that I write, it's more just life, man.
Yeah.
Just thinking back of old memories or even things that happened to me like that day. It just kind of just comes in spurts. And I never really try to like plan it, and a lot of times like I just got notebooks or phones full of lyrics, just random stuff, and sometimes I'll piece those things together to make a song later, or sometimes I'll start from scratch. It just really depends on the feel of just the song or whatever's going on in my mind.
Oh, yeah.
But when I make the albums, like I already know in my mind how I want it to sound, everything. It's already mapped out in my brain, and just the hardest part is executing it.
I definitely understand that.
Hell yeah.
This is a perfect time to tie it in. Is that part of your approach? Oh, let me phrase this differently. Is that why part of your approach is incorporating those like different random pop culture references and such?
Well, it just kind of like, it just comes to me like, I just try to like think of things, or sometimes I like to mention things in songs that only some people would get, or, a lot of things I say is cryptic, and you just can't really catch it right away, or, I want people to come back. Like, I don't want somebody to hear my song once and then it's just like, oh yeah, it was cool. I've had people come back to me and be like, hey, like I got that reference now, and then I'm like, yeah, I'm glad you caught that, so it's more so like it's almost like a secret club, and just like when people catch on to it, it just makes me happy because it just means that you're truly paying attention.
No, definitely. And that was something I noticed when I was listening earlier, is that there's a lot of articulate elements in your music, both in the music itself and just in the way that you deliver things. It's definitely a more than one listen for sure.
Appreciate that.
But I think that also that reflects well on the fact that you do the production for the music as well. So there's a tightness in it that not everybody balances when it comes to producing and doing the vocals over their own music. So It's cool that you're able to achieve that.
I appreciate that, bro. Thank you.
Yeah. And then once you get a song finished, so it's it's done, it's laid down, you're ready to rehearse it, how long does it take you to get to the point where you're ready to perform it?
It just kind of depends. More so like, I try to use the internet when it comes to performances to like use a song as a guinea pig. And I'm like, oh, well, people really like this one, so maybe I should start performing this, and then I'll just play it a lot, and just pretty much just go over it and go over it in my head. Even with it out playing, I'll just go over it in my mind, and I'll be in the shower or something, or just thinking about it, and pretty much I just go off of what's like people are identifying with. If there's a song that I have, even though I may like it a lot, like I might not put as much effort in trying to perform it if it doesn't get traction.
Yeah, and that makes sense. I think once you have a certain catalog of music as well, you can pick the for you moments, but you don't ever have to pick the same thing twice.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, for sure. And dude, I got so many songs. It's just like, you only got like average performance is 30 minutes.
Yeah.
You can't fit them all. So. Yeah. So I just try to pick and choose.
Do you like ever account for like what other artists are on the bill or like what location you're going to be at?
If I'm opening for like a national act or just like someone who has somewhat of a fan base already, I kind of just base whatever songs I'm going to perform on, what their vibe is. I don't want to stray too far. A lot of my music is all over the place. It might be happy or hype or sad or, so I just kind of gauge whatever the vibe is of the room, and sometimes I'll give whatever DJ I'm working with, I'll just give him like 10, 15 songs, and then we'll randomly pick whatever we're doing on stage in that moment, and be like, no, do this one instead, because this is where the crowd's going.
Oh, okay. Interesting. So you like have backup ones just in case.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and, and sometimes there might be moments where I just pull a song, and I'm like, nah, I don't think this one's going to go, like, I get a gut feeling, and I'll just be like, nah, pull it, and
yeah.
So it just kind of depends.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. And then looking back on the last year, how do you feel that your process has changed?
It changed in a different way for me. I was working with an engineer for a little over 5 years, and he did majority of my work. And I started working with a newer engineer that I've known for a long time, but I never worked with him. So it was, once you get in your comfort zone with an engineer, you kind of like, it's like, oh, this is a scary moment. I'm working with someone new. Like, is it going to work out? But I'm thankful that the person I work with now, like, we have a real good relationship. And things just get knocked out pretty quick, and I still from time to time work with my previous engineer as well. It just kind of depends, but as far as like the process of recording, when I first started recording, I was definitely like I felt like the engineer was just trying to control like what I said, how I sounded, just the mixing of the music, and it just got to a point where I felt like a lot of it wasn't natural enough, and it made me second guess a lot of my music. And there's a lot of songs I have that never saw the light of day because of that. But once I started working with these two people in particular, I just stopped like what do I call it? I call it Dr. Dreing the moments, and never putting out Detox. So, I just kind of said, fuck it, and I don't spend too much time mixing and it's like when it sounds good enough, I'm like, that's good, Yeah. We can sit and pick apart the bells and whistles of musicianship, and the only people that are really going to notice that are other musicians as opposed to your average person. They just want to know if you feel it. They know it, they can hear it in your voice if you feel what you're saying. So to me, that's more important than anything.
Hell yeah, very, very well said.
Appreciate that.
I love that. All right, now for this next one, I've been recently referring it to as the humble brag moment. Let's look at your more recent music. So let's look at the stuff that's come out either more recently or about to put out. What is it about your current sound that you enjoy?
With the current music that I produced or been, creating in the last year, I actually changed my process a little bit more, and I reached out to some more local producers to actually take on a good amount of the production, because I've never really done that. I've always been in control of how the beat is going to sound, and then I just kind of wanted to step out of my comfort zone and work with people that were just you wouldn't think that they would work with me, and I've also reached out to a couple people that are like overseas that just being able to collaborate more, as opposed to a lot of the music that I produce and been on the internet is like I've done it all by myself. No one's helped me on any of it, and I don't know. I just kind of feel like sometimes a collaboration is good, and you might come up with something that you didn't think you were going to by yourself. So.
Yeah. Well, you technically even couldn't by yourself, that randomness of what another person's thinking.
Right.
Really, that two heads is better than one. It's an appropriate colloquialism.
Definitely.
So, but I mean, collaboration, and I've said it time and time again on other episodes, collaboration in music is, I think, important. I think that there was a time where all music had to be collaborative if you wanted to do anything outside your one thing that you could do.
Exactly.
And so I think, that's something it's not a loss, because people being able to make their own music on their own time in their own space is something that should be valued and appreciated for what it is. But the lack of collaborative music is something that should be missed and come back, because it's important.
Definitely.
Yeah. And I appreciate what you said earlier about how you're like, if I can't play this thing, I'll find a person who can play it and pay them to play it.
Right.
I played music is important in a lot of things as well. And I think Pretty Lights did that with a color map of the sun.
Yep.
And that process to this day just blows my mind.
Oh yeah. Love it.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
All right. But getting back to you, we've got one more question to go in this middle main day portion. And this is definitely the densest question in the interview. But we've talked a lot about the experiences with music, the things that happen and the actions and the reactions. But what is it about the music when it's just you and it one-on-one that gives back to you?
The therapy. It's very therapeutic for me. It helps me talk about things that, I feel like I can't just tell, a stranger or your average person, and sometimes it's hard for me to express myself, just about anything. I feel like, I couldn't sit in a room with a shrink and tell him my problems, I feel like when I get in front of that microphone, it's like I can let it all go, and I've spoken on a lot of things that, I feel like your average, rapper kind of like hides from the public, and I feel like since I've just let it all out and just not cared about censoring, my own, humility and, things that happened to me that were fucked up, it's like, it's a very freeing feeling, and it feels like all this weight is just off my shoulders.
Oh, yeah. That's usually, a lot of people will say that therapy is the reason, and that's very understandable, but you're the first person to touch on the freeing aspect of be like that, the way that you describe it. And I think that's a really powerful notion to sit with. Thank you for sharing that.
I appreciate it.
But now we're going to go ahead. We're going to move on to some hypothetical questions.
Got it.
And for these ones, sky's the limits. They're all made up. So the answers can be too. But for this first one, if you could work with anybody, the only requirement is they have to be alive.
Oh, shit.
But you could work with anybody. Who would you want to work with, and how would you want to work with them?
Man. Whew. Only one person?
Yeah.
Oh, no. Man. Serge Tankian.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, yep.
Yeah. Definitely him.
Damn. I don't even have follow-up for that. That's just a really good answer.
He's just an amazing person. He's just an amazing musician.
Mm-hmm.
Like, his range to me, like, is undeniable. You can't really... His unpredictability is what I like. You know? Like, I don't want to go into a situation or work with someone where, like, I know what you're going to do. Like, this is your signature,
Mm-hmm.
And it's like Serge is just going to take you everywhere.
Yeah.
So that's definitely him.
Serge is somehow going to go where you wanted to go. You just didn't know it yet.
Oh, yeah. That's a good way to look at it.
Hell yeah.
Sure.
Hell
yeah. Definitely Serge.
Yeah. Great answer. And then subsequently, who's a local artist that you're aware of that you haven't gotten to connect with yet, but you would like to?
That's a good question. Local to like just the Northwest?
Yeah. Yeah.
Man, that is a really good question. I really like this guy from Seattle named Toupade. He has a very raspy, sing-songy type voice, and honestly, I've never heard anyone that sounds like him.
Damn. Okay.
I don't think he does too many collabs, but I mean, just his voice is just so crazy. Like, it's just awesome. And, I like more of the lyrical type of rap, but, I like the topics that he sings about too. It's a lot of, real things that have happened to him, and a lot of, just human type of songs, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, I'll definitely want to check him out. What was the name one more time?
Toupade.
Okay. Hell yeah. Thank you.
Hell yeah.
All right. And then for this next one, like I said before, sky's the limits. But if you could perform anywhere in the world and you wouldn't have to worry about crowd access, building stability, power, guaranteed best lineup, guaranteed best show, and it doesn't have to be a venue, where would you want to perform?
Japan.
Hell yeah. Where at in Japan?
I don't know. Doesn't matter.
You're just going to show up and be like, all right, it's time.
They're right in there, Times Square. Who knows? Just something. I'm actually a quarter Japanese, so I'd love to go to Japan and just even meet my own family, that I've never met out there too. So
yeah. But
I mean, I also know that Japan they embrace hip hop, and not just hip hop, like
they embrace culture
right.
in general. Like if it's right. something that you want to do, they're like, yeah, come do it. Like, right. We'll find a way to do it in like 12 minutes.
Right, exactly. And with them, I feel like they don't just follow like whatever the trend is of rap. Like, they still appreciate the boom bap. They still appreciate lyrics, And to me, it's just like, I just want to see it happen,
Yeah.
And I'm going to make it happen.
No,
I'm going to do everything I can to.
Definitely. I've actually... a friend of mine is traveling to Japan right now. And like nice. A month before, they were like, hey, where can I do shows in Japan? and they've already booked like 5 shows.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
bro.
so it's
I need their number.
Well, it's just I think that area is accessible as far as just being able to show up and do music.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, so definitely supporting that choice.
Hell yeah.
Let me know when you go. We'll do a Jambox Travels.
Oh yeah, let's do it, my guy. Let's do it.
Hell yeah. All right, and then the final hypothetical question. If you could get one more album from anybody, and they could be alive, they could be dead, they could have not put out an album in 100 years, they could have put out an album yesterday. Who would you want an album from, and when would you wanted them to put it out?
I had to split my answer, man, because it's 2 people. One is Tupac, and the other one is Jimi Hendrix.
Hey, shout out to Hendrix.
Right. Legendary. Like, just, they both went way too early.
Yeah.
You know, I sometimes, like me and my girl, we just think about Pac and like, what would he sound like if he was 30? What would he sound like if he was 40? Like, what would he be talking about? Or like with Hendrix, it's like just everything he played was just so above everyone, that it's just like, it always makes me wonder what would they sound like in their 30s or 40s or 50s, or where would they be? Like, when I first heard of Quincy Jones, he was just like a saxophone player in Seattle, and then he turned into a fucking multi-diamond producer for Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
Like, just imagine if he would have died at 27, like, we would have never even got to that point. So
yeah,
I always wonder about those things with like great artists like that.
Just because I've talked on both of those artists in previous answers before, I won't spend too much time, but I have to agree with you. My big question is always, what would they be like now?
Right.
And not just their music, but them as people.
Yes.
Like the way that you look like, the example I used before was Snoop Dogg. His presence in today is so different than his presence, 20, 25, 30 years ago.
Easy.
But it doesn't feel wrong almost. You know what I mean? Like, it's like he has earned a life of comfort. He did a lot.
Oh yeah.
And I always wonder, what do they look like when they've done enough? What would that have been like? What would their message have been at the end of their journey when they finally started to settle down? Or would they have? I could see Hendrix going longer than Willie.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
oh yeah.
Like that would just. And could you imagine them now?
Man, I wish I could.
Yeah. So yeah,
I feel like a lot of people just with Hendrix, like, they wouldn't even have had a shot if he was still alive. Like, he would have just buried him in sound.
I think he would have inspired a lot more.
Oh yeah.
I think a lot of people would have shown up at a caliber that would have rivaled him because they grew up only knowing that caliber.
That's true. That makes sense.
But also, I think I would like to imagine Hendrix kind of leveled out in that point anyway. He never really seemed to be a competitive person in the world of music.
Right.
At least from what I understood. But also, God, we would have had so much cool music.
Oh, dude.
Could you imagine like him and Steve Vai?
What's your favorite song by him?
Castles Made of Sand.
Ooh.
Like 100%. It's not even a contest.
I'm going to say 1983.
Hell yeah.
Love that song.
It's hard for me to even like pick apart the albums at a certain point because I just kind of put them all together.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Back in the time where, music just was an object.
Right.
And now I sit down with all the records and I just like listen to them through, and there's just something about each song that you can feel something in for sure.
Hell yeah.
For sure. All right. But we got to go ahead and start wrapping this up. But before we do, I did want to ask you about an interaction with a certain Samuel Jensen.
Oh, Sam.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sam. How did that shout out Sam?
Shout out Sam.
I don't know what he's going by now. I apologize. It's not Mankato for now anymore, I think. But shout out Sam.
Yeah, shout out Sam, man.
How did that come to be? What was that whole situation like?
So, we did a music video, the About Me video, and
I kind of check it out. It's super cool.
Appreciate that. I kind of got to go all the way to the beginning. So, my vision for that was I need a bedroom and I need to paint it red. In my mind, I saw a red room, and I, researched, and I was like, I don't think I'm going to be able to find a red room already painted. So I'm like, I'm going to have to find somebody to paint it myself. So I put, a little post on Facebook and Instagram searching for somebody, and a fan of mine from Portland reached out to me, and he said, you can come paint my bedroom. He was rebuilding a portion of his house into a bedroom, and he was like, paint it red. So I reached out to the dude who directed it, King Zab. He's actually from the area, but he lives in LA now. But he was in town, so me and Zab rolled out to Portland, and we needed a band in the video too. I was like, I need a band. I wanted to be like 2000s Limp Bizkit, like Offspring type of vibe, So, obviously we needed extras. So I didn't know anybody in the area, and Zab knew Sam, and he reached out to Sam like, hey, like I need you and like 2 or 3 other guys to come out and, act like a band in this video. So they showed up last minute, and we just hit it off, and they're just real good guys, and then afterwards me and Zab and Sam went to hang out for a second, and then I was just kind of picking his brain. He's an awesome guy, man.
Hell yeah.
Real awesome.
Hell yeah, super cool.
Hell yeah.
That was how I found out about you, so I wanted to know that connection for me.
Hell yeah.
All right, but now we are going to go ahead and wrap it up. What can we look forward to for let's say the first half of the year? What's coming out, or what can we expect soon?
More songs, more videos. I have an album that I'm working on, but it's not really like tentative. It's kind of just whenever I feel like I'm going to put it out, I'm going to, but I'm going to be putting out at least a song a month, and just kind of letting them, travel through the internet and just kind of see, what people identify with and go from there.
Oh yeah, definitely looking forward to all of that.
Hell yeah.
This next one, go ahead and look straight at the camera and tell everybody how they can find you.
You can find me on the internet if you look hard enough. It's BARZ with an exclamation point. And I'm all over every social media. I'm all over YouTube. I post almost daily. I hope you can find me.
Hell yeah. And then any other plugs, any other shout outs, anybody else you want to put on while you're on here?
Oh, let's see. Shout out Smoke, at the basement. Shout out my baby Jazz. She's in here with me right now. Shout out my cat Smokey. Miss ya. Shout out anybody who's ever listened to me and took the time out to just hear what I have to say. Shout out to you, because without people like you, none of us exist. So shout out.
Hell yeah. All right, now we've got one last question to go. But before we do, I'm going to steal the camera for just a second. As always, y'all, please make sure to like, subscribe, push all the buttons, do all the things. I don't know where they are, but you do, and I trust you. And one more shout out to the Brothers Apothecary. Make sure to click the link below. Go check them out. I guarantee you're going to like something. But with that being said, the final question. And this is entirely up to your interpretation. But what is an album you feel exists on the more obscure side of things, but is something you wish everybody knew?
By me or by someone else?
By someone else. But because you have so much body of work, both answers.
Man, I think that every white person on the planet should play Kendrick Lamar's To Pimp a Butterfly. I think if you truly delve into it and you listen to it, you'll learn something about black culture that you may not understand. I think that's very important for people to listen to that album. And it could be life-changing for someone who may be ignorant to things that occur in this world that they may not be aware of. For myself, I have an album called The Race Trader. It's a controversial title, but this is also something that I believe that the world needs to hear. And I believe that there's topics that I talk about on there that are very uncomfortable for myself, very uncomfortable for my family, very uncomfortable for people with my skin color. So I believe that we cannot change as a people until we become uncomfortable. No one can change until they become uncomfortable in life. And I feel like the only way that any of us in this world will become better is if we get uncomfortable. So definitely. I think that music that makes you angry or makes you angry at not understanding is music that we need to listen to. Hands down.
Oh, yeah. Very well put.
Appreciate that.
All right. We're going to go ahead and wrap this up. Thank you so much for joining us.
Appreciate the hell out of it, man.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
This has been another exciting episode of Jimmy's Jambox. I'm Jimmy.
BARZ.
And we're signing off. Later, y'all.
That's a wrap.
This is not a podcast. This is a show.
Keep jamming.